think we're live.
Good afternoon. Good morning. Good evening, depending on where you are.
Yes, true. I was like, I think it's afternoon, but
I
it
mean,
is
I
very
was
much
I was just
afternoon.
I was just in BC,
That's true.
and this would be morning for me. I just got
That's
back
true.
yesterday from Victoria. It was my first time there, so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had a bit of a you had an even wilder week last week, but a lot of I don't know, like rearranging, I guess.
Yeah,
Go moving on the fly. It's kind
I
of like
got
it was a cool life kind of, but it was a little
yeah,
wild.
I got invited to go to the Victoria boot camp for Wealth Genius on Thursday, and my flight was on Friday to do that.
And we were
I had
in Toronto.
We were in Toronto already. I had packed enough clothes for the Toronto event, but not for Victoria. So when I got to Victoria, I had to buy new clothes because the hotel wasn't able to get my laundry done fast enough for the next boot camp.
Yeah. So he didn't
So
he didn't have to turn his underwear inside out. So that I think
although that was
is
suggested,
that was
I just didn't
suggested.
do
It
it.
didn't happen. So don't if you were in Victoria with him, don't worry. But that wasn't the case.
I did buy new underwear.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a bit of a wild week. I ended up having to drive back by myself, which is okay. I had to drive Jeff's truck, which I don't really like driving, but made it back okay. And yeah, just living the wild entrepreneur life, and it's kind of fun. You never know what's gonna happen.
It's true.
So, but yeah, so last week we were in Toronto, and that has inspired the discussion for today. I guess before we talk about what we will be talking about today, welcome to everybody who has joined us. It was the event last week. That was the reason that we didn't do a live last week.
Yeah, normally the events that we do are on the weekends.
Mm-hmm.
This one was a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
So we thought we might be able to step out and do something really quickly, but it was actually a wild event. So
yeah, it was very busy.
There was none of that. There was no time to do that.
Yeah. So that's why we weren't here. But thank you for those of you who are joining us today. If you joined us before, welcome. If you are joining us for the first time today, also welcome. And
expecting a different welcoming for
feel
people
like
that have been here before.
You gotta welcome back.
There
if
we
you've
go.
been here
There we
before.
go.
Welcome back. We'll do it that way. And we like to keep these as interactive as possible. We don't have a specific presentation. We don't have a script. We have some points that we want to discuss. And otherwise, if you want to interact and become a part of that conversation, we'd be happy to have you join us in that.
Yeah, please drop a like on this. Share it with your friends if you think that they would get any value out of this. And say hi. Say hi in the comments. Like Dakota said, we want to be interactive, and it takes two to tango.
Yeah, and the two of us isn't enough. Extra tangoing if there's more people involved.
The more the merrier. Yeah, please put your comments in, and whatever you have to say with regards to what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's funny because as I'm doing this, I feel very conscious of what I'm saying. And it's because of the event that we attended last week and because of the topic of our conversation this week, which is about the most valuable piece of real estate, which is the stage. So the event that we attended last week was called Make Money Speaking. It was talking about, really in the end, I think it comes down to communicating your message. I think a lot of people are like, stage.
Yeah, I mean, immediately, I guess, pretty much just diving right into this, when you think of a stage, most people think of a platform in front of an audience.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes a large audience, which is very scary to a lot of people.
Yeah, there's a lot of, that's the number one fear. And I know I've said this before on our power lunches, but the number one fear is public speaking.
And I will say that one of us has that.
Number two is death. So let that sink in. People would rather die than speak in front of an audience.
And again,
that's crazy.
Think that I know some people that is well validated.
Yes,
So
100%. Speaking from experience.
yeah. So it was a really good event, and like I said, and like Jeff was saying, I think a lot of people think of the stage as being in front of a group of people and speaking to them. What I've learned, I guess, in the last week ish is that that's not necessarily the case. The stage can be multiple. This is a stage.
We are on a stage right now speaking to our audience, which is you.
And even
this here is a stage, right? Talking to on a live video or just doing a video and posting it, that is also a stage, right? So you literally carry a stage that you have access to the world in your pocket.
Yeah. And
how powerful is that? That is so cool.
Even if you have a business meeting, right? Like if you're meeting somebody that you want to do business with, that could be a stage in a way, because what it comes down to is, what is your message? What do you want to share with the world? And how are you sharing that with the world? So all of these different things are a stage. So in the end, public speaking, a stage, speaking from the stage is all communication, and that can be applied to so many different areas in our life. And I think that's something that I realized, I guess I'll say, is you kind of know it, but you don't at the same time.
You're just less conscious of it, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that was something that I learned, that it doesn't necessarily have to be a platform in front of a room. So
yeah. I mean, sometimes the rooms that we're in don't even have platforms.
That's true.
And it's still a stage.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to get up on a chair instead. And that's your stage. Don't actually do that. That's really bad advice. Don't get hurt.
We've done that at meetups, though.
Yeah, we have. I'm not saying it's a good idea.
Actually, you did it. I refused.
I did it.
I refused to do it. I was too nervous.
It's bad advice. Don't do it. That can be dangerous. I don't want you falling off a chair. But sometimes you have to create your own stage.
Yeah.
So if you have a fear of public speaking, I don't know, did that help you, thinking of, as someone who has a fear of public speaking, did that help you with the idea of public speaking, that a stage doesn't have to be
no, not at all. Oh. Because, I mean, I'm less nervous on certain stages. Let's put it that way. So I'm more nervous on a physical stage in front of an audience. I think the biggest thing for me is realizing that if I don't know what I'm going to say, I feel like I'm not very good at coming up with it on the spot. So that's where my biggest fear is. And something that can really help is knowing what you're going to say. And I'm not necessarily saying rehearse and have a speech memorized or a script memorized, but know what your message is, know what you want to say going into it, and your nerves will reduce significantly. So when people think about just going to do a talk, if you don't know what you're going to say, yeah, of course, that's nerve-wracking. That's terrifying. But if you know what your message is and you know what you want to share, then that's going to help reduce that fear.
Yeah. So knowing what your bones are, basically.
Yeah.
Of your talk.
Yes.
And then you can flesh it. You can add stuff to it as you're going, as long as you know what your stepping stones are.
Yeah. A lot of what we talked about last week at the boot camp was your signature speech. So your signature speech is really just like knowing what the main message is, knowing what your call to action is, or what your offer, or whatever it is, like the reason that you're talking. Like, what do you want to get out of it? What do you want other people to get out of it? Knowing that, and then being able to manipulate that message to be longer or shorter depending on how much stage time you're given.
Yeah, right? Adding in different stories, adding in different supporting points, but really keeping the bones of that talk, like knowing what the bones of that talk are so well that you're not going to get necessarily as lost along the way, because you know the direction you're going.
Think of it like having a message that you could do in an elevator, on a 3-minute talk, on a 10-minute talk, on a 1-hour talk, or a 5-day event, right? Like you want to be able to get your message across on any of those stages with that amount of time.
Yeah. So from your perspective, what have you, because you've done some more talking, and even this, right? Like we have bones of the
talk about not knowing what you're going to say coming into it. We think about it like right before the event, right before we go live. We're like, okay, what are we going to say?
Yeah, I mean,
what are our key points?
it's
But we have the banter,
practice.
right? It's not like we're just going up. Like, I don't think that I would be able to do this very well on my own without going back and forth with you.
Yeah, because we can fill in gaps.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because you've gotten more comfortable on stage, what is it that you do to okay. You have.
Yeah. No,
you
I have. Yeah.
What is it that you've done to help you get there? Because I think a lot of people that are going to watch this are going to feel very similar to you, having that initial like fright of getting on stage. So what have you done personally to help?
I can go in so many different directions with this. I said one, knowing what you're going to say is really helpful. Just doing it helps a lot. Don't worry so much, because worrying is like, you're not getting anywhere with that. You're only building it up more and more and more inside your head. Yeah, I think, and practice is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Practicing in front of, I don't know, close friends and family, practicing in front of other peers that you feel comfortable around. Even if you're nervous doing that, crash and burn in front of your friends and family before you do it in front of a stage or in front of an investor or in front of a client, right?
I was gonna say, I feel like this has been helpful as well for you, and this is, I call it exposure, like just exposure to more different types of stages.
Yep.
When we started these, we had a full presentation. We knew exactly what we were gonna say.
Imagine having to do that every week.
No, I don't even. Like Jeff said, now we are like, all right, what have we learned? A lot of it is like, what did we learn in the last week, and what can we, like, what kind of value can we add to our listeners based on what we've learned? And then we'll make a quick list of what that looks like, and then come on here and banter. But it's changed a lot. Like, we started with a lot of structure, and I think the exposure helped a lot for both of us, because I'm not very good at just like on the fly conversation. I like to have
ideas.
Ideas. I can beef out an idea on the fly, but I can't come up with the idea. The idea has to be there. So exposure, doing things that are going to make you uncomfortable, and you'll evolve as you do more of it. We've been doing this for, I don't know when we started, probably months. 3/4 of a year now.
Yeah.
At this point. And we've been able to evolve our public speaking just through exposure to this, forcing ourselves to, whether we were comfortable with it or not, forcing ourselves to do it because we know that we have value that we can add to people. We have a message that we want to get out. So forcing yourself to get on that stage and having that exposure, that's helped me.
Yeah. I think figuring out what it is that you're nervous about. If you can figure out what you're nervous about, then at least you have something that you can tackle. If you're just scared and not knowing why you're scared, then there's nothing you can do to fix that, right?
That's deep.
But you have to really know what it is. And one thing that my mentor told me was that I get nervous because I care. I care about the value that I'm giving. I care about making sure that what I say is going to impact the people that I'm talking to. Because I don't want to just go up there and fluff. I want to give some value. So I want to make sure that message that I'm giving is being received correctly. And I say correctly because I want people to receive it in the way that I'm intending it to be received. Right? So I want to make sure that I'm giving that value because I care about that. And so for me, that was helpful in realizing kind of where that fear is coming from.
And is that where having the bones of the talk helped, because you knew at least that
knowing what my message is that I want to get out? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. I like that. So do some self-reflection. did you find that it was helpful for you to look at that as you were going on stage, or was it more helpful to reflect back? I don't know if this is a
I don't know.
question that you can answer right now.
I think, well, no, I don't know. But go, like, having done it, take a mental note of how you feel after you did that. Number one, you're going to realize, oh, that wasn't so bad. That wasn't as bad as I built it up to be for 3 days before.
I didn't combust on stage, so we're good.
Speaking event. Yeah. Even if you go blank, like, you're still going to have that adrenaline. You're going to feel good after. One of the worst feelings that I've had on stage, where I was like, I'm pretty sure I was close to like blacking out. I don't really remember everything that I said.
Was this recently?
This would have been one of the first boot camps that I did.
Okay.
And I have this vivid memory of trying to look at the audience, but I was like scanning back and forth, and there was no clear image in my brain of what I was looking at. And I was very, very nervous. And afterwards, the adrenaline from that actually made me feel really good. It was like
wild.
Yeah, it was just because I got so much adrenaline from it, and then I was energetic.
You're like, I'm gonna run a
actually,
marathon.
This event, you weren't at the event. You came to the meetup afterwards.
Okay.
And you were commenting on how much energy I had from it. This was an Ottawa boot camp.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
That was one of the most nervous I've ever been for going up and doing my intro and for my final thoughts.
Right.
Of the event. And yeah, that was crazy. But I felt energized afterwards, and I think it was just the adrenaline from being put in that position and having to go up and talk. Because at that point also, I didn't really know what my message was. I didn't really know what I was going to say. I wanted to give some sort of value, but I didn't know what I wanted to say.
Right.
And so I think that's, again, boils down to wanting to, or just being nervous because of that.
Right. If you have a fear of getting on stage, let us know. If you're comfortable doing that.
Am I alone on this? I feel like I'm not.
I know you're not. I know 100% you're not. And maybe do some self-reflection right now and think about what it is that, like, why you get nervous before you go on stage. Again, if you're comfortable sharing that, because I think it helps when people know that they're not the only ones that are afraid to get. I think if you know that other people have the same fear as you, it helps a lot, because I don't know, does that help you?
No.
Oh, okay, maybe it doesn't.
I don't think it's not really. Like, sure, other people have that same fear. Yes, that the more the merrier, I guess. But like, it doesn't solve my problem. And as a logical person, I need a solution. I need my problem to be solved. I don't care that other people are in misery with me. Like, that doesn't help me.
Oh, I'm gonna cry.
One thing that I really don't like is when people say, like, if it makes you feel any better, I have this too. Like, that doesn't make me feel better. Now we're both in misery. Like, what is
this rant is so good.
What is the point? If it makes you feel any better.
Oh, that was a really good. I'm sorry, that was a really good rant. Okay.
What, me? I ranted?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So if you want to feel comfortable and let us know, that's fine. Jeff will join your pity party, but it's not going to help anybody.
Yeah, I mean, me being scared of public speaking is not, let's be real, it's not helping anybody else. Gosh. Me solving a problem of public speaking can help somebody else. If somebody comes to me with a solution, I'm all ears.
So I want to, we'll stop the rant. I do, because I want to talk about why the stage is so important as well.
Oh yeah, that was the purpose of this.
However, before we get to that, I think there's something really interesting that you do. We use it for multiple different scenarios, but I've seen you do it a lot with the stage.
Okay.
And it's associating the good feeling after you get on stage with a smell.
I don't have it. It's upstairs.
That's
I know where
okay.
It is, but...
So we read a book, Way of the
Wolf. Yeah, Straight Line.
By Jordan Belfort. And he talks about associating like being like in a position of good feeling, like feeling kind of powerful, associating that with a smell, so that when you have those like if you have a really good feeling, so I think for you it's been getting off stage after you've like killed
If I
whatever
feel
you've had to
good,
say.
yeah, if I feel good about it, then if I remember to bring it with me and I have it, but it's so easy, it fits in my pocket. It's literally just an old chapstick um tube.
Yeah. And it's a
So
very like
I
it's
actually
not a
carry 2 chapsticks in my pocket when I'm at hotels because hotels are so dry that I actually need chapstick. And then I have that one, which is what do I call it? Boom Boom? Boom
so
Boom?
he calls it Boom Boom's an actual brand, I
Boom
think.
Boom is a brand of a powerful scent.
Yes.
Mine is
That comes
essential
in
oils.
what is essentially it looks like my understanding, I think I've looked it up. It looks like a chapstick basically, but
Yeah. So I just made my own with an
Yeah.
old chapstick. I shoved cotton balls inside
Yeah.
of it, and then I put essential oils
Yeah.
in that and soaked the cotton balls with essential oils.
Yeah. And the idea is that it's not like a bad smell, it's just a really intense smell. So
And not something you smell regularly.
yes. Yeah. So whatever it is, it's really intense. And when you're feeling good, you like if you have a really like you're feeling really powerful in that moment, maybe for you, you've gotten off stage, it's gone really well, you've got like that like rah, I feel good right now. You take a whiff of that. So now that smell is associated with something good that's happened. And the idea is that you can use it. So say you're getting on stage and you want to put yourself into that feeling of like, I've done it. I feel good. So you can put yourself into that position before you go on stage so that you go on feeling like good and powerful. And it's not necessarily related to just the stage. They talk about doing it going into meetings, anything else that you need to feel good going into.
Some people will do it with like creating like a fist. But smell is one of the most powerful ways of doing it. Like how many people have you, if you've smelt something and it's reminded you of like a distant memory.
Yeah, some weird childhood thing. It's happened to me. It happened to me very recently that I walked in somewhere and there was a smell that brought me back to when I was like really young.
Yeah, it's like holy moly. So that's the power of being able of doing that is first of all associating it. So you need that anchor. You need to associate it with that good feeling, and then you can utilize that before going on stage or going into a meeting, like you said, and put yourself into that state before going in.
Yeah. So might be something to, if you have a fear or you want to feel good going on stage, it might be something worthwhile to use as a secret weapon before you get on stage. People, power stances too. That's what something else people will do. But those are all kind of along the same line. It's just really to put yourself into a mental state where you're like ready to go.
Speaking of mental state, so another thing, and this came from Simon Sinek, great public speaker. And so I was watching some of his videos about how to get over that fear, and he gave a bunch of really good tips. One of them is just like talking to specific, like find your champion in the audience, somebody that's like nodding and like and into what you're talking about, and basically talk to that person, or almost just finish a thought with that person and then move on to somebody else. So then it's less like you're talking to a full audience and more like you're talking to an individual person. But the big thing for me was realizing that nervousness and excitement give the exact same body reaction as one another. So if you're nervous, you might sweat a little bit, your heart rate's going to go up, you're going to get a little nervous, your hands might get clammy. And if you're nervous, you're going to sweat a little bit, your heart rate's going to go up, your hands might get a little clammy. So going into it, telling yourself and really convincing yourself that you are excited to give this talk and not nervous, right? I'm excited that I get to talk to this group of people. And that can really help in just switching your own mindset.
Yep.
The whole point of this wasn't to talk about the fear of public speaking.
No, it wasn't.
But here we are.
But it's also, I think it's important because I think a lot of people have that, and this is something that you've been working on a lot. So I don't think it's a terrible thing to talk about your journey because
and this is my stage.
And it's your stage. It's definitely your stage today. I think this is something that you've worked on a lot over the last year, and you had such a fear of it, and now you've gotten into a space that like you didn't even want to go like do live videos or even do a video to
I
post
didn't want to
on.
do podcasts that weren't live and they were recorded.
Yeah, you didn't want to do
Or like, yeah,
podcasts.
videos at like a project or whatever on
Yeah.
the phone and then post it. I would do the video and then I just wouldn't post it.
Yeah, or you would delete it. So I think it's an important topic to talk about, and you've made so much progress with it in the last year that I think it's very helpful to a lot of people who have that fear. So we can talk a little like briefly if we need to do this another version of this part 2.
Yeah, I guess it's already 30 minutes in. Was I ranting for like 30 minutes?
Like happened? I said, this is your stage today, which is fine.
Good.
It's fine. Because it was we have different. I didn't have the same experience that you had with that, and I think more people relate to you than they relate to me in that sense. So True. I think it's really important. But very quickly, we'll talk a little bit about why the stage has been so important for us. I think we'll do a little. Not
bit of discussion. Only getting over those fears.
Yeah. So I guess why did you want to get over that fear? Like, why was it so important to you to get over your fear of public speaking? Because it would have been so much easier to just say, I am scared, we're not doing it. So why was it so important to you?
I did do that for a long time.
I know you did, but in the last year you worked on it. So why?
Because the stage is, as this Power Lunch is titled, the most valuable piece of real estate. Because you can share your message with multiple people. You can share it with the world, essentially. If you put a video out there, you have multiple. If you have multiple videos online right now, then you have multiple stages that you're talking on, and people are watching your videos, right? Mm-hmm. But it's been really helpful in exposure, in becoming the, and well, I mean, you want to elaborate a little bit on what the is? Becoming the doesn't mean anything to everybody.
That's true. So the concept, and it's hard not to use the word the when you're explaining what the is. So the idea is, say if you're like a professional. So if you're a realtor, are you a realtor or are you the realtor? If you're a mortgage broker, are you a mortgage broker or are you the mortgage broker? And if I were to put in front of you, you can speak to a realtor or you can speak to the realtor. Which one are you going to speak to? Yeah. I feel like you had
I did. Well, I'm just thinking about, because we're listing our house for sale, and we actually went into this. So we spoke to several realtors, but ultimately what we were looking for when we were looking for a realtor, we were actually looking for the realtor for rural homes, right? Somebody who's familiar with being on acreage, somebody who's familiar with country homes, somebody who's familiar with having, I don't know, just so much space and
who deals with those clients
and wood stoves, and we had oil heating and that kind of thing, and deals with those clients, right?
Because hopefully they'll have access to a buyer list for a property like this.
So somebody who's only dealing with condos downtown is not really going to be the person they're not going to bring me a buyer, first of all, but they're not going to be the person that's going to sell our home in the best light. But somebody who deals with country homes day in and day out, or rural homes, that's who we want, right? Mm-hmm. So when we were looking for a realtor, we were looking for the realtor who is like the rural realtor kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately where we made our decision.
Yeah, we spoke to a lot of great realtors and people who were very clearly good at their job, would be good at listing the property. What we landed on, and it took us a while, we knew we wanted like the rural realtor going into it. It took us a little while, I guess, to get there. But in the end,
because we're like, these are great realtors.
Yes. So it was hard to make the decision. But in the end, we realized we wanted the person who does rural properties, and even like we narrowed it even down to like the person who does properties in our area. So not even just rural properties, like rural properties in our area.
Yeah.
So that's the reason that we picked the realtor that we picked, was because this was the rural property realtor for our area.
Yeah.
And that's where becoming the is so powerful, because you're going to be speaking to an audience that won't want to go anywhere else. And I think this goes back to becoming the, it goes back to understanding what your messaging is and who you're speaking to.
Yeah. Who is your avatar, your ideal client?
Yeah. And to me, if you don't have a really solid audience, I feel like if you're speaking to everybody, you're speaking to nobody. Because
wow.
I know, I thought that was very profound. I thought of this
Wow.
after the 3-day. And it's true, because if your messaging is so broad
In general.
and yeah, it's general, you're not speaking to anybody.
Nobody's listening.
Yeah, people are listening, but they're like entertained by it maybe. They're not going to connect with what you're saying, and they're not going to be drawn to you in the same way. But if you are able to pick a narrow audience, and sometimes, you know, you got to go really narrow to get your message across appropriately. But when you find that person, they're going to have no option but to go with you. So either you speak to the whole audience and connect maybe partially with some people, but not fully, or you speak to 2 or 3 people in that audience, but they're connected to you. And there's no question that they're going to go anywhere else because you're the person.
Yeah. The person.
Yeah.
So the stage can help you become the expert, the undeniable expert in your field, whatever it is that you're doing. You become the expert.
Yeah. And the stage will help with that. You also need to figure out what your messaging is first. Because if you get on stage and you're just speaking to everybody, again, it's not going to be an effect. So you need both.
Yeah. We did a talk, and it was really interesting because we didn't really, like, we had a presentation. It was in front of a room full of investors. We had a presentation. We were just really giving value, but at the end of that, we had people lining up to talk to us. If it was just a networking event, we would have connected with some people, but I guess the view of us in that room after we were up on stage talking was very, very different. And people were lining up and coming to us. So we were attracting people to come to us.
Yeah.
And to talk to us about what we talked about. And we were the expert, right? So because we were on stage and we gave, I don't know, it was like a 30-minute talk, 30-minute talk. Like it wasn't overly long. But it put us at a different level in that room because of that.
And we were very particular about what our messaging was going to be, because we knew the audience that we were going to be speaking to. And we knew that there were going to be certain people in the audience that we could help and that would potentially want to work with us. So we crafted a presentation with our messaging. So it's not like, you know, we're not shape shifting every time we go into a different audience. We have the same goal and the same messaging, but it was just, you know, tweaking it to make sure that that audience was connecting with it. And we were just very, very particular and very, not the word particular, what word am I looking for? Intentional.
Yeah. With
the presentation we did. And we were able to reap the reward of that after, with people coming to talk to us, asking more about what we did, that kind of stuff. So figuring out your messaging, figuring out who is the audience that you're speaking to, and then being able to get on stage and actually share that, that's a recipe to grow exponentially, especially on social media, because videos like this, they stick around. You put this here, you put this, I guess I don't know where here is. Facebook, YouTube. You can put this on
Here is
Instagram.
this is really it's going to be sitting
I
on
don't know
YouTube,
where here is.
right? And then the goal also is to be able to pull pieces out of. So this is considered long form content. The goal is to be able to pull short form content out of these as well. So turning this one stage into multiple stages, essentially.
Like infinite. Then you have infinite audience because it hangs out.
Yeah.
Forever.
It's just always there.
Yeah. We're here forever. Scary.
I don't know if this is picking up your whispering or not, but
forever.
That picked it up. That was.
You also heard my breath on that. That was a lot. I apologize.
I mean, actually, that's what a whisper is. It's all breath.
I don't apologize. I'm kidding. But yeah, I know we've been trying to keep these to like 30 minutes. I don't think we're succeeding all that well because once we
30
start
to 45 is fair. People have like an hour long lunch. I think that 30 to 45 minutes is, and really, I mean, it's our stage.
We do what we want on our stage. So that's a little bit about what we learned. There's probably a lot more that we could have gone into. And that second segment, I think we kind of squished. But the point is, have a message, have an idea of how you're going to get it out there, know who you're speaking to, and then get out there and do it.
And have a call to action.
Oh, yes.
What's next for your audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you just giving value and then disappearing back into the bushes? Or is there a way for your... I have an image of a GIF in my mind.
I know exactly. I think I just did it.
Is it Homer Simpson?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or is there a way that you want people to contact you? You want them to sign up for your newsletter? Do you want them to invest in your deal? What are you looking for out of this talk?
Yes.
Right? So what is the next step for the audience to take? That's really important. That could just be get on a call with you, or maybe you're promoting an event or whatever. There needs to be some next step.
Yeah. And don't be shy about that, because if someone's connecting with what you're saying, they probably want your help.
They need that next step because they don't know what to do. People need to be guided.
Yeah.
People don't know. That's why at the beginning of these videos, we're always like, make sure you drop a like, make sure you put a comment in, because people just won't do it unless they're really told to do it.
Yeah. And it's for them, they need you. They've connected with you. And if you just leave them hanging, that's kind of rude. So don't leave them hanging. Give them a good next step. Whether that, like Jeff said, is to reach out to you, go to this event, blah, 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 whatever it is. But don't be afraid to do that, because it's important for your audience that, you have something to give. Yeah. You have something to give them. So give them that opportunity. So that's, forgot about that part. That's a very important piece of it.
And look at it as an opportunity, right? You're not asking anybody for anything. You're giving people an opportunity to take that next step. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
That should help with the awkwardness about asking for something, if that's kind of where your mindset is.
Yeah. So actually, with that said, if you are somebody and you don't have to be a real estate investor. Obviously, we have a big audience of real estate investors because that's what we do. But you don't have to be a real estate investor to do this. A lot of entrepreneurs, anybody really that has a message that they want to get out there, there are ways to do that and to make it as efficient as possible. So if you're somebody who has a message, you don't know how to get it out there, you can reach out to us. We have different opportunities to be able to do that, so we can help fit you. A big one is both the Make Money Speaking bootcamp and the actual program that Wealth Genius started. So reach out to us if you want more information, if you want to improve your communication, your public speaking skills, and to be able to get that message out there in the best way possible.
Nice.
That's your call to action.
That's our call to action for you.
Yes.
Reach out to us.
Otherwise, thank you for joining us this week. I keep saying we're going to try to be more consistent, and then something happens, But we are normally here every Tuesday at 12:30 Eastern time. So depending on where you are in the world.
If you can't make it live, look us up on YouTube, Opinion Investments. You can see it, our name right there, on YouTube, and you'll be able to watch you'll make sure you go to the live tab on YouTube, and you'll see all of our previous power lunches.
Yeah.
We also have a bunch of other videos on there which are pretty fun to watch. So
yeah,
go check them out.
Sometimes we're entertaining. I think we're always entertaining.
Yeah. And if you do subscribe, you'll be notified when we do go live. So
you'll never miss us.
That will help. Yeah.
Forever.
Oh my God.
If you have something, if you want to get on our stage, if you want to join us on our stage, so if you want to be
opportunity,
if you want to be a part of this live, let us know. We haven't had one yet, but we are actually working on a couple of people to come and join us on our live.
Yeah.
So if you want to do that, let us know. If not, we will see you next week for another fun, entertaining topic. Maybe more Jeff ranting. Who knows?
Maybe. It's rare.
It is rare, but
this is a special treat.
Yep. Boy, oh boy. We hit a nerve that time. All right. See everybody later.
Bye, guys.